Hello everybody from my side. I welcome you to my presentation about the procure-to-pay factory of the future, how emerging technologies gain process efficiency and save you money. Unfortunately, today I'm sitting in front of a black box instead of standing in front of you and having a more interactive session. Nevertheless, I think the next 20 minutes will be very interesting, and I'm looking forward to your questions during my presentation within the chat. My name is Simon. I'm from the Robert Bosch GmbH and working in the Global Business Service Area. The Global Business Service Area at Bosch is responsible for all services and processes that are done all over the Bosch Group. Like, for example, a process like hire to retire or the procure-to-pay process. I'm working as a product owner in the procure-to-pay process, and me and my team, we are responsible for the topic of user centricity and support automation. What does this mean? So we are taking care of all IT and processes the internal customers of the indirect procurement area are working with. And today, in the focus of my presentation, the procure-to-pay factory. But why we are using the factory as an image for our process? Because like in a modern production line, in our process, the main targets are reduced cycle time and highly increased automation and a user satisfaction. And like you can imagine, like in a modern production line, our target is 0 ppm, so 0 defects part per million. But before we come now to the content of my presentation, I would like to give you some insights about the Bosch Group and indirect procurement at Bosch. You see on this slide the key figures of the Bosch Group in 2019. For sure, you can imagine in 2020 our figures look slightly different, but nevertheless, to give you some ideas about our business, the figures from 2019 are worth to mention. In 2019, the Bosch Group had roughly about 78 billion euros of sales revenue, with approximately 400,000 associates on a worldwide level. Our business is mainly spread in 4 different areas. The first thing to mention is the mobility solutions area, where we are one of the world's leading providers of mobility solutions. The second one is the industrial technology area. Maybe some of you guys know our subsidiary, the Bosch Rexroth. The third one is the energy and building technology area, where we, for example, are one of the leading manufacturers for security and communication technology. And the last one is the most well-known one, the consumer goods area, for example, with the Bosch power tools and the household appliances. All of those kind of products from the last part you can also find on Amazon Business. And the last thing to mention on that slide is that still 60% of our share is related to the mobility solution area. Now let's come to the indirect procurement area at Bosch. On the top you can see the name iBuy, which is a synonym for indirect purchasing at Bosch. In 2013, we centralized all indirect purchasing activities in the organization iBuy. And the project name was iBuy during that time, and the project name still remains. And everyone at Bosch knows indirect purchasing as iBuy. In 2019, we had roughly around 830 associates. On a global level, we were responsible for roughly 8.8 billion of purchasing volume, which was spent on 3.8 million purchase orders. We had about 30,000 suppliers, and we were supporting with our service 12 different business divisions with more than 180 manufacturing locations in 47 countries with, unfortunately, still 40 different SAP ERP systems. If I would add here also the non-SAP systems, we would be above 60 systems that we would have to support. When we compare those kind of figures to, for example, 2016, when Bosch won the BME Innovation Award in Germany, we had roughly around 1,100 employees still, and more than 60,000 suppliers. So you see, even during the last couple of years, we already have been driving on that efficiency road with our organization. So how is our organization in indirect procurement set up? You see on the left side this category management area, which is responsible for the strategic part of the purchasing. They are in touch with our internal business partners. They are driving our suppliers. They are in touch with the different markets, and they are supported by 4 different so-called purpose teams. You remember I am a product owner for one purpose team in the P2P area. There are also purpose teams supporting the category management, for example, with in the general setup of material field strategy, supplier strategy, or in terms of IT and processes. On the other side of the slide, you see the P2P factories. Yeah? I already told you about our image of the P2P process. So we have 4 different factories on a global level. We call them hubs, so P2P hubs. We have one hub a main hub in India. We have one in Romania, one in China, and another one in Costa Rica that are supporting our customers in doing mainly those 3.8 million transactions that you saw on my previous slides. And again, the 4 purpose teams that support the P2P factories in further developing the processes and the IT landscape to do this process as much as automated as possible and to save as much money as possible within every transaction. Here you see another picture of our P2P factory. What I want to show you with that slide is, in the past, we were mainly focused on our end users when we thought about improving our processes and IT infrastructure. But more and more, our customers want to automatically create their transactions, for example, via interfaces to machining centers or vending machines. And in terms of our internal customers, they want to have improved user interfaces. They want to have mobile solutions to create shopping carts, to approve their demands, to get their reports. So everything, and those kind of areas are the main focus when we are talking about how the demand enters our procure-to-pay factory. And also worth to mention, even though I'm talking about indirect purchasing, in the P2P area, procure-to-pay area, we are responsible for the end-to-end process. So starting from the demand creation and ending up at the payment. As we are talking about emerging technologies, the question is, what kind of technologies are supporting us in our procure-to-pay factory? First of all, worth mentioning is that we are having a cloud platform where all the requirements, so the demands, are created. Doesn't matter if via a user directly in a user interface or via an API connection to a machining center or something different. The first thing you see on the bottom left side of the slide, e-procurement. Yeah, this is not a new technology, but nevertheless it's still important for us in the procure-to-pay area. And also here we are happy to more and more work together with Amazon Business in the countries where all over Europe and also the US and Japan. So also in the e-procurement area, there are still new players, new opportunities that we can use. For sure, mobility, mentioned beforehand, for our users is an important topic, that they are able to create their demands not only in front of their laptop, but as well within the factories, scanning products via QR code, via barcode, via pattern recognition. Then user guidance, it's not a technology, but a very important topic for us in the procure-to-pay factory, bringing the user and the requirement to the right buying channel. We have different buying channels in place in the indirect procurement area. I guess most of you as well. There are options like the catalog, usage of catalog, where also Amazon Business is an option. We have Easy RFQ as an option for our internal business partners, where they can do a self-service request for quotation and handle the whole demand without involvement of procurement. All that things needs to be guided. It's not always easy to decide when to use which buying channel, so user guidance is very important. Not only my area of responsibility, also in the buying area. Then for sure API is a topic. I will show you an example where we use APIs on one of the next slides. We have machine learning use cases. I have also some examples with me. So RPA, it's not a new technology, but important for us to improve our processes. We are using chatbots, and for sure, big data, it's a big word. It doesn't matter if it's big, deep data. As you saw on the first or on the third slide, when I showed the KPIs of indirect procurement at Bosch, we have a lot of data already within Bosch available to improve the processes and to make for machine learning happen. Yeah, 3.8 million purchase orders. There is a lot to learn from. And we are making more and more use of those internal data. So, like I mentioned, I have some examples with me today. We start with an API example. We'll come to a machine learning and chatbot example afterwards. Let me show you and explain you how the self-ordering machine at Bosch is working. We have together with one of our pilot plants, designed a process to support the predictive maintenance area, so that in case the machinery is recognizing I need a maintenance of a filter unit, automatically can order this. So the biggest part and the highest complexity for sure was within the machining part, but nevertheless, to make the overall process happen, we had to support within the P2P platform. And so the process starts with maintain filter unit, the machinery, the sensors within the machine recognize I need this maintenance. Then the next part is the machine and the energy platform, which is connected to all the machines in the plant, creates a maintenance order within the SAP that to account at the end also the purchase order. Afterwards, the energy platform is checking our catalog platform if the item is still available. So end the service, then it's creating automatically a shopping cart, is accounting that shopping cart on the already created maintenance order. We send out the purchase order. The supplier is automatically confirming the order. The supplier is conducting the service and confirms the conduction of the service via the machine, and we can pay at the end after the invoice was sent. One example how we make use of API technology. So after showing you how we make use of API technology, I would like to give you a short insight on machine learning. I don't know how you handle GL account determination within your company. We have an automatic solution in place. Nevertheless, in some cases, we have a workflow in place so that our financial department has to check the right GL account. In case for one material group and value, we have defined multiple possible GL accounts. And we started now with a machine learning use case in that area. So we analyzed our historical data and based on that built up this machine learning use case, which is integrated into our SAP process, so into the workflow. And with that solution, we can reduce 100,000 workflows per year and could save about 5 minutes per workflow. And if we can calculate, this is already a number of headcounts that we could reduce in that area. And on the next slide, you can see our dashboard. So we reached in that area an automation of, I just checked today, now we are at 75%. We sometimes recommend only a GL account to the accountant in the workflow so that he can check and just validate. And in that case, we can even learn from the manual check of the accountant in the workflow. So we went live by June this year and could already save by beginning of August 90 working days with that solution. My last example is also something that is very interesting, at least from my point of view. We combined a machine learning use case with a chatbot solution. So we built up a model to predict the savings potential for a purchase requisition. So based on a couple of different information, like the volume of a purchase request, the material group of a purchase request, the supplier, the country, and a couple of more information, we derived the potential saving. And for a chatbot, the start and the target price of a negotiation with the supplier. And on my next slide, you can see now a video of a negotiation of our chatbot, the so-called Nelson chatbot. So I'm sorry guys, but it's in German. So Nelson is now negotiating with the supplier a quotation. And I have to look to my screen also to see it. So the supplier is negotiating with Nelson now. It's for low value purchase requisitions. And without not for suppliers that we have a contract with. Yeah, so it's suppliers we don't have a very active relationship to, only 2 or 3 touch points maximum per year. Yeah, and we are further developing that solution and are also checking additional potential use cases to make use of that Nelson. We have some more chatbots in place in purchasing, like for example also support chatbot in the procurement process for our internal customers. And now we have a contract. So finally we've got an agreement with the supplier. And now it's time for your questions. Thank you.